Hey guys, this is Vienta, 3-year-old Bayroan filly. I've made some previous videos with her and thought it would be nice to kind of give you guys an update as to where she is. This is that Starlight Cross Hancock filly, and she's a really nice looking girl. Should be a little bit over 15 hands when she matures, but yeah, really well built, really pretty color when she sheds out. But I thought I'd show you guys where she is. You know, I've had these horses for, gosh, maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 months, maybe almost 4. And, you know, like I've said before, I don't like rushing things. I don't like creating negative situations that don't need to happen as much as I can. And I want my horses to become pretty darn gentle. This horse, when we first got her, was one of the more reactive ones, and I rope them to halter break them. You know, these are horses that were not handled at all right. You know, it's not like these are domesticated horses that were raised in a stall and petted, you know, since they were babies. These are ranch horses that were born and bred and raised outside. So to get them gentle like this and handling pretty good, especially when she's a 3-year-old that hasn't had anything done with her, you know, it's always a little bit of a feat to some degree. But I don't like just slapping a ride on them and keeping that brace in them and keeping them tight. I want to create as much relaxation as I possibly can in them. So, you know, I rope these guys to halter break them just pretty much right when they come in, just in case there's some type of medical emergency and I need to get my hands on them to help them. That's why I want them halter broke immediately. But after I did that, that doesn't mean I can just walk up to them, excuse me, and halter them. What that means is if I need to, they've had a halter on, and you know, it might take me some time, but I'll be able to do it. This horse, after I roped her to halter breaker, she was still pretty reluctant to be haltered. And I would say, you know, I got the halter on her the first day we did it. But after that, without roping her, I would say it probably took 3 weeks to be able to walk up and just put a halter on her. And that's a long time frame. I know a lot of people that do stuff with Mustangs that don't rope horses, you know, that might seem normal, but these are not Mustangs. These are a different breed of animal. They have a little bit more reaction in them because they're cow horse bred horses. They're bred to be a little bit more reactive, and on top of that, not being handled creates even more reaction. So in my experience, I've worked a lot with Mustangs and wild horses. These horses are more difficult in the beginning by far. Yeah, that's usually an uncommon thing. Usually once I get a halter on them, you know, I can get them haltered the next time. Might take, you know, 15 minutes or 10 minutes or something, but usually once they understand that, you know, we got a halter on them, it's not going to hurt them. You know, they start to come around fairly quickly. But this horse was one of the ones that took some more time. So it's interesting to me now that, you know, knock on wood, you never know when you start them, but she ironically seems to be becoming one of the more gentle ones. I mean, you can see she's becoming pretty quiet. I mean, you couldn't even touch her when I got her. But yeah, gosh, she's starting to become a pretty sweet horse. So I want to show you where she is, guys. Before I saddle all these young horses, I'm going to put my lead rope around them like that. I'm going to make sure they remember that when we cinch up, this becomes tight. Good. Disengage the hind and I'll release it. And I just want to make sure that she's got a refresher, and I'm not just assuming that she's got everything she had last week. I haven't worked with this horse in, I don't know, maybe a week, maybe a little bit more. If they're horses that are with us for a long time, if I can, I want to give them as much downtime in between, especially when they're this young. Less is more for sure with these babies. So I'll show you where she is here. Let me check my camera angle too. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'll show you where we are saddling and all that deal, and what I'm looking for before we put a first ride on. because she's getting really close, and I'll kind of talk about that at the end. Nice, sweetheart. Good job. Yes, Vienta. So today is going to be her first day with this back cinch. We'll see how she does with that. Hopefully shouldn't be too much of an issue, knock on wood. But just kind of want to show you guys the process for saddling her and how she's doing. Make sure all this is clean. Good girl. And I may, you know, I probably should drop this truthfully. Hi, girl. Just one hole. We got so many colts in right now. I've got to adjust this frequently, but this is why I like this rigging. You can do it from both sides pretty easy. And this is specifically the saddle I put first rides on with. So right here, I'm just going to check this. Snug, disengage. Good girl, Vienta. Release it. Head her up a little bit. Good girl, sweetheart. How are we here? So I'm gonna do the same thing with this cinch. Good girl. I'm just gonna put this on like that for now. Not too scary. She's got her ears back with it. Good girl. I'm gonna snug this front cinch up a little bit. We'll disengage this hind. Thank you, sweetheart. Disengage the other way. There you go. I really want to try and take all that grab out of a horse. As ridiculous as that might sound to some people, but I want to try and take as much of that grabbing out of a horse, because that's what gets you hurt. It's okay if it happens now and then, right? I guess, but I don't want it to be a regular thing with a young horse, because that grabbing is me telling, or is them telling you that they're scared. And a horse that's scared isn't thinking. A horse that's scared is reacting, and a reacting horse is the last horse you want to get on. So you know, for me, I want that horse processing information, not me trying to contain them the whole time. Thank you, sweetheart. You guys have seen some previous videos if you've watched some of our stuff with this horse, and you'll know how far this horse has come if you go back and watch some of that. Compared to this. Good girl, sweetheart. This was not achieved by working the hell out of her and running her in a round pen over and over and over and all that stuff. This was achieved by taking really small, clean, concise steps to keep her relaxed and build her up. You're okay. Yeah. Good girl, sweetheart. Just popping the stirrups, rope a little bit. Tighten this one more hole here, just so we're snug enough. I don't want this saddle moving. And I'm going to snug this back cinch up a hole as well. You do not want your back cinches loose by any means. Flap the opposite side here. Good girl, Vienta. Disengage. Thank you, sweetheart. Disengage. Thank you. Thank you. Right here. Good girl. So pretty darn good with that. I'm going to show you some of the things that I need on a colt before I get on their back. But before I do that, I want to move her around for a moment. See how she does walk, trot, and lope, both directions. I'll let her pick which direction she wants here. I'm going to let her pick her pace in the beginning. She's going to slow walk, fast walk. There's some nerves right there. That's all right. Let her line out a little bit here. Find that rhythm just walking. You don't want to push them too quick, right? If they've got any tension or brace and you push them up into a faster gait, that's how you can create a little episode, a little blow up. But we try and make sure that doesn't happen if it doesn't need to. But you know, stuff's going to happen sometimes. Some of that's unavoidable. Change directions. Oh, excuse me. So a little brace right here. This is how I'm going to dress it. If you guys hopefully have the volume on, you can hear that when I breathe, she slows down. That is intentional. I didn't ask for the direction change. I ain't worried about it. So that's just the brace right here, if you can see that. She doesn't want to put me from this right eye to the left eye. I'm sorry, yeah, right eye to the left eye. If she wants to turn away, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna need another direction change. So she's turning left. Let's see if she'll turn right. Nope. Okay, if she turns into the wall that way, I need her to turn into the wall this way. Good, there's a right turn. Let's see if she'll give us a right turn here now. What do you say, girl? Thank you. Turn. Good. Need her to turn to the inside here. Trying to get that right to left. Thank you. Oh, back the way you came. There you go. So guys, all I'm trying to get is that right eye, left eye, and vice versa transition first here. Good. Very nice. So that's the turn we were looking for. Whoa. Hope this is kind of making sense, guys. It can kind of look a little disorganized. I'm probably not doing the best job talking through it, but one thing I do want to make a point of saying is that, you know, I'm not trying to do all this perfect, you know, round pen work right now. I don't, you know, I used to do it. I don't really teach all this fancy, you know, groundwork round pen stuff anymore. All I want out of a round pen, because truthfully I just don't round pen horses a lot. All I want out of a round pen is I want these horses to understand that they can move out freely in a controlled environment. And that's pretty much all I use a round pen for, right? Is to help them stay to some degree, if they're going to fall apart, to minimize that as much as I can. It also helps them realize that when they come in here, this is to some degree school for them. So they start to develop some degree of relaxation when they come in here because they have an idea of what to expect. So all I need is freed up movement and attention when I'm in here. I'm not trying to get them to always turn to the inside right now. I'm not trying to get them to take direction with your left hand and drive with your right hand, blah, blah, blah. All I care is that when I create energy, you move off that energy, and I can push them different directions with that. So instead of here, if I want her to go left and I pick up my left hand to point, right? That's how a lot of people would lunge. You can do that. All I might do is just create a little bit of energy right behind her. She's gonna turn left, right? I'll add some of this fancy groundwork stuff later on if we want to, but typically, you know, I'm not much for the kind of the fancy trick stuff. I find that if a horse understands that they move off of where you put pressure and create some type of imbalance, they search for the balance, right? Then you can create all these different movements without these little tricks, right? I'm not teaching a horse that X, when I do X, you do Y. I'm teaching them principles that transfer throughout their whole life, that when I ask for, when I create some type of imbalance with you, right, or some type of discomfort, as in I put pressure here, you move forward, right? When I relax, right, release that energy, you slow down, you might come in, right? So back to our point here. We can elaborate on that in future videos with more refined horses, but very nice turn. I want one more turn here. One more turn here to the right. See if she locks up or if she'll do it. Take her forward a little bit. Very nice turn. So you got to get this brace at all these horses, right? Some horses will have it in certain areas, but you got to explore that and make sure you get that out. Last for a trot. Excuse me, sweetheart. So she's actually feeling comfortable with it. Those are just kind of flashbacks in my opinion. Whoa. You know, that I love that. So if you guys watch that, I love what she did there, because what she's doing is she's getting a little tight and then she's saying, oh wait, I remember, this isn't scary. So she's staying in that processing side of her brain. And that's what we're looking for with every young horse I'm working with. I want them to be thinking, not reacting, right? That's going to be a motif that goes across all training. I need processing. I need them always on that side of their brain. Good girl, sweetheart. I do not want the just reacting. When they just get scared and go up into a whole nother planet, that's scary, because that's when you get hurt. That's when the horse runs off the cliff with you or runs you into a fence. I'm not saying that won't happen even with a great horse, but making sure that you keep them in that processing side and build that side of their brain is going to minimize the chance of that happening as much as possible. So you can see she's cross-firing right now, right? She's on her right lead on her front legs, left lead on her hind. The reason that is because it's a small round pen, right? She's trying to stay loping, and that's easier for her right now. Whoa. So we don't need to get after that. Some people might say, oh, that's the wrong lead, you're building a bad habit. Not really. You need to understand why she's doing that. Quit. So I'm really happy with how she's doing right now. Go ahead and grab this halter. What do you say, sweetheart? Hi, girl. Oh, yes. Yeah, it was a big deal, you know, 3 months ago to be able to walk up and put this on her. Hi, girl. Yes, you did so good. Yeah, if there's anything to take away from this, so far, it's that horse stayed in the processing side of her brain. She had a little flashback where she got tight, and the processing side stayed in control, and she said, you know what, I'm okay with it. I forgot, I'm not supposed to be nervous about this. It doesn't hurt me. You're right. And that's a big deal for her. Hi, girl. So what I'm going to do now, these are some of the things that I'm going to look for before I'm putting a first ride on a horse, right? One, I'm going to tighten this up again. Good girl, Vienta. And that's just about where it would be if I was going to ride. She's got to be okay with this tapping. She's got to be okay with this jumping. All our colts get ponied, obviously, but that jumping, that tapping can scare a lot of horses when they're young. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that. There's probably 3 or 4 major things they need to be okay with, right? One, they need to be okay with you above them. 2, they need to be okay with jumping next to them, right? Because when you go to get on and off that saddle, that's going to be a similar movement. 3, they need to be okay with tapping all around the saddle, their butt, neck, blah, blah, blah. Horses naturally don't like tapping, right? But they need to be okay with it because sometimes we're not the most balanced, perfect riders. And when we start bouncing on the seat, or whatever, that can create a lot of anxiety and nervousness in a horse and can push them into that reactionary side of their brain. So try and get that out, right? Try and get those braces out. I think that was 3. 4, the one I will typically say is they need to be okay to some degree with your hands in their mouth. Why? We're not putting a bit in any of these horses' mouths right now. Thank you, sweetheart. But at some point we are, and I want to make sure that we get that addressed as soon as possible. This is likely going to end up being a nice hackamore horse, and then hopefully progress into the bridle and down that whole deal, like we do for our horses. But so the only bit, hopefully, that she'll ever have in her mouth is going to be a spade bit. But we shall see. Those are some key things that you need to work on getting a horse over. One last one that I really should mention that I didn't is the biggest thing probably is that they're okay. You can put weight in this stirrup, put that hip on their back, and pop the opposite side stirrup, okay? Also disengaging the hip from that position. If I cannot do that, I ain't getting on the dang horse, because that horse, when you swing that leg over, is going to blow up. Hear me on that, okay? If you cannot put weight in the stirrup, right? Put your hip on the saddle and flap this opposite side and them not blow up, right? Or if you can't do that, don't get on them. Do not put a ride on, right? They are going to blow up, most likely. And if you cannot be in that same position and disengage the hip, I would not get on as well, right? The most similar thing you can do, in my opinion, just keeping it simple, for a ride on a horse is putting weight in the stirrup, putting your hip on their back, disengaging the hip, and popping that opposite stirrup, right? That mimics what that first ride is going to kind of be like. So first off, stay safe, guys. Make sure you've got this lead rope short, because what happens is if they get scared, they're going to jump forward and kick out their hind legs. And if they do that and you don't have this lead rope short to swing that hip out away from you, they're going to kick out and kick you. They're either going to seriously hurt you, they could kill you, you know, hopefully not, but this is how you stay safe. Short lead rope, foot in. I'm going to put my hand on the stirrup, or I'm sorry, on my horn, if you could see that. And I'm just going to jump for a moment. Make sure she's okay. She jumps forward, she's going to push me forward with her. Good girl, Vienta. Little uncomfortable for them, right? But, sweetheart, better to be safe. Once I've got that, good girl. We're going to do that. Okay? Good girl, sweetheart. Disengage my hip right here. Thank you, Vienta. Good girl, sweetheart. Good girl. Good girl. So there's a stirrup. Hi. Nice, sweetheart. As you could see, she was moving around the whole time there, swinging that hip out, which was excellent, actually. Good girl. I cannot tell you how many horses I've worked with that when you do that for the first time, it's going to get a little tight sometimes, right? So I try and get as much out of that horse, as much of the brace out of that horse before I do that, to make sure that we don't have a negative experience. I'm just popping this offside, right? Making sure she's okay with that. Getting plenty of licking and chewing. Foot in, knee out, if you could see that. Right, so foot in towards me, right, towards the shoulder of this horse. I'm never going to stand near that back leg of a horse. I tip my stirrup towards me, kind of my foot sideways in the stirrup, knee on their shoulder right there a little bit. Okay, grab my rope. I'm on the opposite side now. Good girl, Vienta. Good girl. So I love I've got the right eye engaged. Now I want to disengage the hip to the left. Good job, sweetheart. Very nice. Very nice. Good job, girl. She's like, whoa, you weigh a lot. Good girl, sweetheart. That's what I need on a horse before I put a first ride on. Can they walk, trot, and lope both directions fairly quietly saddled, right? She's doing good. She needs maybe another few days. You know, truthfully, if I've had everything ready right now, and I had help here right now, we'd probably do a first ride, you know, tomorrow. But the plan right now is, if everything keeps going good and we got some good weather, we'll probably end up putting a ride on her this weekend. But yeah, she's doing awesome. So back to the point, what I need in these horses before I'm putting a ride on: walk, trot, and lope safely, both directions. Saddled, can I, you know, tap that saddle? Can I pop both stirrups? Are they okay? You know, hands in the mouth, are they okay with jumping next to them? Obviously no brace anywhere, right? So do they have brace when I cinch up? Do they have brace when I put a back cinch on? Do they have brace when, you know, I tie a rope on, whatever? When I go from right eye to left eye, vice versa. And she still has a little bit of that. And that, some of that can get you in trouble, right? So you gotta just know what your comfort level is. Also, can you put weight in that stirrup and be above them and you know, pop that offside? If they're okay with that, and you know, they can disengage that hip while you got weight in that stirrup, then you know, you're pretty darn ready to get, you know, pretty much good to go, as far as I'm concerned, or at least what my comfortability level is. Or comfort level is. Gosh, I'm terrible at English apparently. Yeah, that's kind of my game plan for some of these horses. Obviously it changes depending on the horse, you know, sometimes dramatically, but for this horse, that's kind of, you know, what I'm looking for, and for the majority of them. But like I said, this can change, you know, pretty drastically depending on a horse's specific needs. But yeah, go back and watch where this horse started. I've got some videos on I think YouTube and probably our Facebook and Instagram also. Again, she's Vienta, and you know, you'll see me roping her feet, picking up her feet for the first time, first saddlings, first time we put a saddle on her back, first time we put a pad on her back, first time she saw a flag, etc. So yeah, all that is pretty neat to see how far she's come. And man, she sure freaking tries. And man, she's becoming a good horse. So sweetheart. If you guys like seeing stuff like this, as usual, we really appreciate it if you click subscribe, so that we can continue to make more of these videos. But yeah, click like, subscribe, and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below, and we'll get back to you. We love hearing from everybody. But you know, we're just getting going on this YouTube deal, so it's pretty cool to see you guys commenting and watching these videos already. But yes, thank you guys for watching, and please click subscribe, and we'll see everybody soon.